Blackfyre is one of two ancestral House Targaryen Valyrian steel swords. It is a hand-and-a-half longsword, or bastard sword, first known to be wielded by Aegon the Conqueror. It would be passed down from Targaryen king to Targaryen king until Aegon IV, known as Aegon the Unworthy, who would give it to his bastard son Damon Waters. This video is a brief history of the sword Blackfyre. The first known person to wield Blackfyre was Aegon I, called Aegon the Conqueror. He would use Blackfyre, along with his dragon the Black Dread, in the many battles he fought to conquer Westeros. Aegon's conquest battles are too numerous to name for this video, but two fights that occurred during Aegon's reign after the conquest are mentioned along with Blackfyre. First one is Aegon using Blackfyre on Great Wick during Aegon's invasion of the Iron Islands to kill Qhorin Bolmark, one of the many men who were trying to claim kingship of the Iron Islands. The second use named during Aegon's reign was when Aegon killed House Tulan's House Fool, who Aegon had mistaken as a champion facing him in battle. When Aegon died, the sword would pass from king to king, but the next king who is mentioned having it is Maegor I, the third Targaryen king of Westeros. Maegor was a cruel king who had stolen the crown from his brother's son and heir, Prince Aegon. When the Grand Maester protested Maegor I taking the throne and jumping the line of succession, Maegor would cut off the Maester's head with a single swing of Blackfyre. This swift execution with Blackfyre would quiet most of those that claimed Maegor wasn't the rightful king. Maegor would also use Blackfyre to kill his own mistress, Tyanna of the Tower, after she confessed she was the reason he had so many malformed dead babies. After she claimed she poisoned his other brides, Maegor used Blackfyre to cut out her heart and feed it to his dogs. A tiny bit later, in 48 AC, many of the great houses would turn on Maegor I for his cruelty. The rebelling houses were unified by Prince Jaehaerys Targaryen, King Aenys, the second Targaryen of Westeros, only living son. Upon hearing of the rebellion, Queen Rhaena, Maegor's wife and also Prince Jaehaerys' sister, would steal Blackfyre from Maegor and join her brother Jaehaerys with the sword. After Maegor I died, the next owner of Blackfyre mentioned was King Daeron I, the ninth king of Westeros. Daeron I dared to do what no one had tried since Aegon's conquest, to conquer Dorne. He also decided to do this without dragons, since the last dragon had died during his father Aegon III's reign, and he also did this at the age of 14. In 157 AC, Daeron split his army into three, sending one down the Prince's Pass, the other by sea to attack Plankytown, and Daeron led his own army down the Bone Way, learning from Orys Baratheon's mistakes and avoiding traps and ambushes. And while we don't have full detail of every fight, we know that Daeron used the sword Blackfyre to sweep away any force that tried to stop him from conquering Dorne. In 158 AC, the Prince of Dorne and the powerful Lords of Dorne bent their knee to Daeron. But things fell apart in 159 AC, with the common folk of Dorne refusing to accept surrender even if their Dornish lords had. By 160 AC, Daeron returned to the fight in Dorne to quell rebellions. Daeron fought and won many small victories with Blackfyre, and appeared to be destroying the Dornish rebellion successfully. In 161 AC, Dorne again agreed to peace and wanted to discuss terms with Daeron I. It was a trap, and the Dornish men attacked Daeron I under a peace banner. Daeron died with Blackfyre in his hand, surrounded by dozens of enemies. But the sword was still recovered by the Targaryens, and the next known Targaryen king to have Blackfyre and use it was Aegon IV, the Unworthy, the 11th Targaryen king of Westeros, and in the top 5 worst Targaryen kings list. He was a selfish, cruel, obese man whose actions would cause the realm generations of pain and bloodshed. Aegon IV had many mistresses and bastard children with them. Aegon IV would take a particular shine to his bastard son named Damon Waters, born through his relations with Princess Daena, daughter of King Aegon II and sister to Baelor I and Daeron I. Aegon IV knighted his bastard son Damon at 12 and gave the sword Blackfyre to him. This instantly began talks that Damon was going to be Aegon's heir, and not Aegon's legitimate son through his sister, Daeron. On Aegon's deathbed, he legitimized all his bastards, including Damon. So Damon Blackfyre, the last name he picked for himself when Aegon IV gave him Blackfyre, is the next user of Blackfyre. For some, Blackfyre symbolized the monarchy, and Damon having Blackfyre meant he was supposed to rule and that he was handpicked by Aegon IV. This belief that the wielder of Blackfyre is the rightful king would help cause 5 Blackfyre rebellions in total. A decade into Daeron II's rule, the first Blackfyre rebellion broke out and was led by Damon Blackfyre. And it just wasn't because Damon had Blackfyre, but there were some other reasons, and just to name them quickly, There was tensions with Daeron II marrying a Dornish woman, the people that the Iron Throne and the realms had been fighting with for so long, and the increased Dornish influence at the court started to make people a little angry. The fact Daeron II was a scholar and not a warrior, while Damon was this 8-pack abs mega warrior, also didn't help people's view of Daeron versus Damon. And there were also rumors that Damon loved Daenerys Targaryen, but was denied her by Daeron, causing more strife. And then on top of that, there were also rumors that King Aegon IV's sister wife, Nerys, cheated on the king and Daeron II wasn't legitimately Aegon IV's child. So anyways, 195 AC, though some argue 196 AC, the first Blackfyre rebellion breaks out with Damon leading the charge. Damon was joined in this battle by his half-brother, also a legitimized bastard, named Bittersteel. Another half-brother legitimized fought against Damon and Bittersteel, named Bloodraven. Daemon Blackfyre would fight with the sword Blackfyre in the Vale, Westerlands, Riverlands, and all over Westeros. This first rebellion would end on the Red Grass Field. Daemon would cut down the Knight of Nine Stars and Will Waynwood with Blackfyre, and also destroy Lord Aeron's men. Daemon would also slay Sir Gawain Corbray of the Kingsguard when Blackfyre clove through Sir Gawain's helm and left him blind and bleeding. Daemon and his twin sons, Aegon and Aemon, next charged forward, only to be struck by arrows from Bloodraven's archers. First Aegon died, the eldest of the twins, with Daemon refusing to leave his son. When Daemon died, 7 arrows in him, his son Aemon took up Blackfyre, but was also immediately killed by arrows. Bittersteel would then grab Blackfyre in a rage and attempt to rally Daemon's forces. Bloodraven and Bittersteel met amongst the battle and engaged in single combat, resulting in Bloodraven losing an eye and Bittersteel retreating with Blackfyre and Daemon's remaining sons to Essos. And this is where the sword's history gets a tad shaky. So we have Bittersteel taking Blackfyre to Essos. We know he definitely has it at this time, but that's where the definites end. In Essos, Bittersteel joined the Second Sons until he created the Golden Company, a famous mercenary group that is known to never break a contract. Well, until recently. Then, 4 more Blackfyre rebellions would occur, where arguably the wielder of Blackfyre is very important and means a lot. And while Bittersteel and the Golden Company wouldn't fight in the second Blackfyre rebellion, they would fight in the third Blackfyre rebellion in 219 AC, the 4th Blackfyre Rebellion in 236 AC, and the Golden Company would also fight in the 5th Blackfyre Rebellion, but Bittersteel would be dead by then, so he didn't fight in it. So let's talk about these 4 other Blackfyre Rebellions, post Bittersteel taking Blackfyre to Essos. Second Blackfyre Rebellion. We know Daemon the Younger didn't have Blackfyre because Bittersteel didn't support him for unknown reasons. Many saw Daemon the Younger without Blackfyre as a sign he shouldn't rule. Daemon the Younger's rebellion ended before it could even begin at Eternity. So as of the second Blackfyre Rebellion, Bittersteel most likely still has Blackfyre. The third Blackfyre Rebellion occurs, but we're unsure if Blackfyre is present even though Aegon Blackfyre, a son of Daemon Blackfyre, fought alongside Bittersteel, who was planning on crowning him the king if they won. Wouldn't Bittersteel give Aegon the sword for this rebellion, especially to rally people to his cause? In the end, Aegon gets overwhelmed in battle and is slain after he gives up his sword. What sword did Aegon give up, though? Was it Blackfyre? Did Bittersteel manage to recover the sword if it was Blackfyre that was taken? If it was Blackfyre that was taken and Bittersteel didn't recover it, how come we don't hear about Blackfyre being back with the Targaryens after this? The lack of mention that the Targaryens got their sword back at the end of the third Blackfyre Rebellion makes me believe that Bittersteel had to either A, retrieve it, or Aegon never used it in the rebellion for some reason. So it looks like Bittersteel had it after the third Blackfyre Rebellion as well. Unless somebody random took it and didn't say anything. But then the fourth Blackfyre Rebellion starts and we see Aegon's son, Daemon III, and he lands with the Golden Company and Bittersteel at his side. Again, we aren't told if Daemon III has Blackfyre. Eventually, Daemon III is cut down by Sir Duncan the Tall, and no mention is made whether the sword was collected by either side. So after the Blackfyre Rebellion, it's still up in the air where exactly the sword is. Bittersteel would die about 5 years after this rebellion. The fifth and final Blackfyre Rebellion would be led by the last Blackfyre male descendant, Malice the Monstrous, and it is also unknown if he used Blackfyre. Most likely he didn't, since in the pictures of him fighting Sir Barristan, he isn't wielding Blackfyre, though the artwork has contradicted itself before. But what if Malice didn't have Blackfyre? Why would that be? Had Blackfyre been lost in the 3rd or 4th Blackfyre Rebellion, or did the Golden Company refuse to let it be used since it was the strongest means of proving legitimacy? A thought is, if the Golden Company still had Blackfyre by the time Meleys the Monstrous was born, that Meleys killing his cousin Damon Blackfyre, who controlled the Golden Company at the time, and possibly had Blackfyre, caused someone in the Gold Company, or maybe even Damon's sister, brother, friend, etc., to take Blackfyre and make off with it as a screw you to Meleys, you're not getting the sword too. Or maybe Meleys did get Blackfyre but never used it, having a preference for other weapons. And really, if Meleys did have Blackfyre in the 5th Blackfyre Rebellion, Sir Barristan would have returned the sword to the Targaryens after he defeated Meleys, if none of the other Golden Company recovered it once again. I just can't see Barristan keeping Blackfyre for himself. Like I said, this is all very shaky. After Bittersteel's retreat from the 1st Blackfyre Rebellion, it's anyone's guess what he did with Blackfyre from there on out. It does seem a bit fishy that he would fight in 4 Blackfyre Rebellions and manage to recover the sword each and every time. But it also sounds off that Blackfyre would be reclaimed by the Targaryens, and nobody would say anything about it. If Bittersteel did recover the sword each and every time and the Golden Company has it, will we ever see it again? A theory I really like is that Ilario has Blackfyre and that the chest he gives to Aegon contains the sword. He seems very eager for Aegon to have the chest because there are things that he must know. Was Ilario given the sword by the Golden Company? Or did he somehow manage to recover it? Did some random person make off with the sword during one of the Blackfyre rebellions and sell it? There have also been some rumors that a page in the Winds of Winter shows Ilario actually does have the sword. Another cool theory is that the Blackfyre was glamored and in the hands of a boy statue in a marble pool, hidden in plain sight. But if Ilario has it and how he got it are all speculation at this point. And if Aegon does get Blackfyre, will that hurt or help his case? Who else would you want Blackfyre to go to? So that is the history of Blackfyre. By the next book, I suspect we'll know who has the sword and perhaps what happened to it while in the Golden Company. But I really want to hear others' ideas on exactly where Blackfyre went after Bittersteel took it to Essos and where it is now. So put your thoughts in the comments below, otherwise come back this Sunday for the reign of Aegon I or Wednesday for another random Game of Thrones video.